Biden administration canceled the so-called China Initiative, which was the program to investigate and prosecute anybody involved in such surveillance. Joining me right now to discuss the threats America is facing is former UN ambassador and South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley. She is also the author of the new book, If You Want Something Done, Leadership Lessons from Bold Women. It is available right now. Nikki, great to have you on the program. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Maria.
So give us your thoughts on the threat of China. A week from today, the CCP will hold its National Party Congress, which, of course, is going to be the confirmation of Xi Jinping's being a dictator for life. It appears their espionage and threats to America have worsened in the last year and a half. Your thoughts?
Well, I think we've been asleep at the wheel. You know, we've got to really start having a China initiative where we're focused on every aspect of China. You know, when I was at the United Nations, I had a team that did nothing but watch China's every move. Every time they tried to put language in a resolution, we pulled it. Every time they tried to get a higher position within the United Nations, we stopped them. You have to have that kind of approach when you deal with China. I mean, if you look at what's happening now, we've got to stop all this funding that's going to universities from China. We've got to look at all of this agricultural land that they're buying. You know, they just recently bought, thousands of acres next to Grand Forks Air Force Base. Well, that's where we have all of our very sensitive drone equipment and technology. That's what we have to make sure we're focused on. And then we've really got to start looking at these companies that are doing business in China, because we know that President Xi has a commission where all he does is say any company that does business in China has to cooperate with the Chinese military. Yeah. So think about our tech companies. Think about our financial data, our healthcare data, our children's lifestyle data, and know that the Chinese military has that.
Wow. Very dangerous what you're saying. You're right. You did a great job at the UN pushing back against our adversaries, China as well as Russia. And this week, Joe Biden talked about so-called Armageddon. We had Mike Turner on this program a week ago, the ranking member of the House Intelligence Committee, and he said we need to believe Russia's taunting of the world with its nuclear weapon. Here is Mike Turner from last week. Watch this.
This administration needs to step up its game on missile defense. We have assets in Europe. We need to engage them so that they can provide protection to our allies, including Ukraine. We need to move other missile defense assets into the area so that we're not just a casual observer if Putin makes good on these threats and we see a catastrophic use of weapons of mass destruction by Putin.
And Nikki, this week it looked like Biden tried to take it serious, saying that we are as close to Armageddon as we've ever been.
I mean, first of all, I thought what he said was irresponsible. On every level, it's irresponsible. Even if, regardless of the situation, you never go and scare Americans. You go and get in front of the situation and you work with your military and you work with your national security agency and say, okay, should this happen, what are we going to do? His job is to tell Americans we're going to be okay. Not only that, what he told Putin by saying Armageddon, you just strengthened Putin. You just gave him confidence to think that Biden's scared. What we should be doing is completely focused on deterrence. Is Putin dangerous? Yes. We should always know that when a tyrant says they're going to do something, we should believe them. We saw that with Putin. He said he was going to take Ukraine, and we saw him do that. We saw President Xi say they were going to take Hong Kong, and they did it. So now if he's saying that he's going to do this, what we should do is deterrence by way of saying, if you do this, there will be hell to pay, making sure we continue to strengthen Ukraine, not by blank checks, but making sure that NATO and everyone else is giving them the equipment they need to fight Russia, because that's the reason that we have to win. And then make sure we're putting pressure on China and Iran. They're Russia's partners. If Russia is threatening nuclear weapons, then we need to go and say, China and Iran, what are you doing about this? Do you condone? The reason that they do that is because they want us to run scared. You don't run scared. You put your foot on the gas and you make sure that they know that if anything happens, we will respond. We will respond with strength and we will respond aggressively. And Putin doesn't want that.
But are we really running scared at the end of the day? Look what took place this week. OPEC cutting production by 2 million barrels of oil a day. Even after Joe Biden went to Saudi Arabia begging for more oil, he's relying on foreign players for oil as he pushes his green agenda. And we look at the strategic oil reserve, and we are at the lowest levels now since the 1980s. Is this dangerous? I thought this reserve was about crises and emergencies, but he's selling it regularly, millions of barrels a day, even to adversaries like to China.
I mean, Biden's, basically dipping into our reserves to try and get votes. He's trying to falsely imply that gas prices are going down when they're not. What he should be doing is partnering with our energy producers, saying, what do you need? How do we go and make us energy independent like we were under the Trump administration? I think that the fact that he's all mad at OPEC, I don't know why he's mad. When you go and you call for the rest of the world to make Saudi Arabia an international pariah, when you go and you fall all over yourself to get into the Iran deal, which upsets all of the Arab countries, don't be shocked when OPEC is not your friend and doesn't go and lift, and raise production. I mean, they did exactly what I think they wanted to do, which was stick it to Biden. And now the fact that he wants dirty oil from Venezuela, which is literally committed crimes against humanity, it's ludicrous. I mean, we can do what we need to do here. We can protect Americans. We should be exporting as much liquefied natural gas as we can. We don't need to be relying on anyone else for things like energy. And going into our reserves, this is hurricane season. This is exactly what you don't want to be doing right now, is dipping into those reserves, because it is meant for a crisis.
Yeah, speaking of campaign season, you're likely on the ballot in 2024. Nikki, are you going to run for president? Are you looking to team up and be the VP candidate? What are your plans?
Well, first of all, I don't play for second. So, no, I'm not looking to be the VP. I'll tell you is we're really trying to make sure that we get House and Senate candidates over the finish line. We've got 36 governor's races. We've been in a dozen plus states in the last few weeks, helping all of these candidates from, Georgia to Pennsylvania to New Hampshire to Wisconsin. And we're going to continue to go so that we can see this over the finish line. Republicans need to be humble and disciplined all the way till the end. This is going to be the October surprise month where Democrats drop everything on these candidates, and we need to make sure we're ready for them. And I hope everybody will join us in going to StandForAmericaPAC.com and see the candidates that we're endorsing and what we're doing. We've endorsed over 55 candidates, put $6 million into their campaign account so that they can fight, and they can fight strong.
And you've been speaking with young women in your new book. If you want something done, give it to a woman. I love this sentiment. It is so wonderful. Exactly the way I feel. Tell me why you wrote the book and who you're trying to reach here.
The publisher asked me to write this because there were a lot of books about men leaders, and they wanted to see a book about female leaders. And this is a book about ordinary women who did extraordinary things. And, as a mom, I know that if you raise a strong girl, she becomes a strong woman, and strong women become strong leaders. And these are stories that I hope will inspire and motivate every woman and girl to know that, look, there's a place for you. And if you work hard, and prove that you deserve to be in the room, great things happen. Women are not victims. We don't need to be treated like victims. We don't need quotas. We don't need anything that's going to do us favor. We just need opportunities. And when we get the opportunity, we always come out strong.
I love it. Congrats on the book. Ambassador, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks so much.
Great to be with you, Maria. Thank you.
All right. And